Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books. Okay, I was standing outside with the dogs just a little bit ago, and I was thinking to myself, I haven't done a book tag in quite some time, and so I was gonna come inside and I was gonna look for a book tag, and then I was like, why don't you just make up a book tag? Because back in the day, I said I was gonna start making up book tags left and right, and I think I did like one or two. I did like the booktuber book tag I came up with, and then I did a scavenger hunt book tag, and I have so much fun making up book tags. But like a lot of people don't do book tags anymore, and I love book tags. So I had this idea, you guys. I literally put this book tag together in like 5 minutes. So excuse me if it's not the greatest book tag in the entire world, but I had fun with the idea, and I actually think it's a good idea, at least for my channel, because I do a lot of book reviews on my channel, but I don't do a lot of book discussions on my channel, and it's something that I want to go back to and talk more about the books that I'm actually reading. And I have the book club. If you don't know, I have a book club called Peter's Book Club. It's listed below. This year, 2019, we're doing a year of true crime. So we do live streams, and I talk a lot about the books that we're reading in there, but I don't really ever do like discussion topics or like book club topics or discussion questions. So I was standing around and I was thinking, for every book that you read, it should pose some questions to you. It should challenge your soul a little bit, right? And make you start thinking about the world in a different way. I think that's what any really great piece of art or literature does. Even if it's just to help us escape from the world, I think that it should make us think about things in a different way. It should challenge us a little bit. Yes, Boo Radley. Boo Radley said, I agree. Can I be in the book tag video? You most certainly can. So we are going to, I think we'll just get right into the book tag, okay? Because all of my dogs are around me, so this will be very appropriate for my first one. So this book tag is called, are you ready? The 5 book poll book tag, okay? And what you're gonna do is, you're gonna get 5 of your favorite books of all time. I have 5 of my favorite books right here. I tried to kind of vary them up so they weren't all young adult, they weren't all like, literary fiction, they weren't all like, science fiction or things like that, or true crime. I tried to mix them up a little bit. And then what you're gonna do is, if whatever question of the world, whatever philosophical question that book made you think, or if while you were reading it, it posed some challenge to you, or it made you think of the world in a different way, or if you thought that there was like an overwhelming question that kind of wove its way through the book that you thought was a good discussion topic, you're gonna ask it as a poll question in your video, and then you're gonna include it as a poll. Because I love doing polls and videos. I love it, I love it, I love it. So you will see 5 polls in this video, 1 for every book, so you can go and you can answer the polls anonymously. I will probably do a follow-up video to this in a couple days and kind of talk about the responses of like, what people said about it. So it is anonymous, just so you know. I'm not gonna tag anybody in this. If you would like to do this video, please go do it. The only thing that I ask is that in your tags you put Peter Likes Books, just so I know I can go find it, because I love to watch the tag videos that people have done because they have seen mine. It just makes me happy. I'm like, oh my God, somebody did something like this. So anyway, so the first book, so what you're gonna do is you pick 5 books from your bookshelf, 5 of your favorite books, right? And then you sit down and you have a little post-it note. I have one for each of them. You don't have to do it this way. This is just how I did it. But you come up with some question that the book posed to you, or a question that you thought was an overwhelming theme for that book. And then you're going to talk about it, and you're going to kind of explain the book in your video, and then you're going to put a poll up with said question. Does that make sense? Let the people answer, and then you go on to the next book. It's very, very simple, okay? So the first book that I'm going to do with all of my animals around me, Boo Radley, what do you think about this question? And that book is The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. This is one of my favorite books of life. I will read the, I don't have it in here, but it doesn't say what the book is about, but I can tell you what the book is about because it's one of my favorite books. And it is about this dog, and it starts off with him kind of at the end of his life, and he is looking back on his life with his master, his owner, and it's about when he first started living with him, and it's their whole life together. If you don't want to cry, don't read this book. This book is a tearjerker, I will tell you. But it is just absolutely fantastic. And at the end of the book, it kind of goes into explain maybe what happens to animals in the afterlife and things like that. So you should definitely check out this book. I mean, that's not going to spoil it for you. If you read the book from the very beginning, you're going to know that that's what's going to happen. But the major question I think that it poses, especially since it's told from the point of view of a dog, is do animals have souls? Do they have specific personalities? Now, I will tell you, I very much believe, obviously, because I have Pee-Pee the Flying Chihuahua right here, Boo Radley right there, and his brother Tucker over there. I very, very much believe that animals have souls and they have specific personalities. Each one of our dogs, I'm like looking around, we should have 5 more over there, I wish. Each one of our dogs has a very specific personality to himself, and, you know, it's just funny to watch them and see how they interact with each other and see how their personalities and their souls come out. And so I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to put a poll up. It'll be up somewhere around here. And it'll have a question like, do you think animals have personalities and souls? And then you can answer the question. It'll probably have 3 to 4 responses to it. See, are you getting it? That's how you do the book tag. So that's the first one, The Art of Racing in the Rain. There's my thing. It says, do animals have souls and personalities on it? Do you get it? Okay, it's real simple. So the next one I am going to pick is The Night Country, a novel by Stuart Onan. And I know that a lot of people have probably not heard of this book. Stuart Onan is one of my all-time favorite authors of life. He is also very good friends with Stephen King. He wrote a short story novella with Stephen King called, I think it's called The Face in the Crowd. I read it. It's not my favorite thing of either one of theirs. But he wrote a book called Speed Queen. Everything he writes is completely different. Several of his books have been made into movies. And he's one of my all-time favorite authors of life. This book, let me read a little bit of it to you. At midnight on Halloween, in a cloistered New England suburb, a car carrying 5 teenagers leaves a winding road and slams into a tree, killing 3 of them. One escapes unharmed, another suffers severe brain damage. A year later, summoned by the memories of those closest to them, the 3 who died come back on a last chilling mission among the living. And it is such a fantastic novel. It is, every chapter is the title of a different horror movie. So it's like Halloween, Day of the Dead in here. And it's told from several different points of view. It's told from, one point of view, it's from the mother of one of the teenagers that has passed away. One of it points of view is from the main character who's planning to go back and recreate the whole thing. And it's really about the effects that major tragedy in our life have on us. And the overwhelming question throughout the entire novel is, what effect does tragedy have on our lives? I know, Boo Radley, he's like, So the overwhelming question that the book poses is, what effect does tragedy have on our life? I am a believer that life is about the journey. And I am a believer that things in our lives happen for a reason. People ask me all the time, they're like, do you really believe that? If at the end of my life I find out that there is no reason to things, that there is no meaning to it, then I guess that I've applied meaning to my life in a way. This is very much like a Peter Isms vlog and a booktube video. Then I get to the end of my life and I realize, you know what, you applied some very kind of spiritual meaning to things that maybe it didn't exist there, but that's okay because you made more out of your life as a result of that. So I believe that when tragedy occurs in our life, maybe it doesn't necessarily happen for a specific reason, but if we turn it into something and we find a reason out of it, or we try to find a lesson in that, then we grow as people. So I believe that tragedy only lingers in our life as something negative as long as we allow it. And, I know there have been things in my life that I have held on to for many, many years, and there have been other things that I've said, okay, I'm going to work through this now, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to, and I'm going to talk to people about this, and I'm going to work through this. So that's what I believe about tragedy. I do believe that tragedy forever has an everlasting, effect on our lives, almost like a scar in our life, so to speak. So, I put the poll up here, and I'll let you guys answer that. And these are kind of scrupulous questions. I'm like a little nervous. I'm like, I don't usually do like booktube conversations about this. This isn't lighthearted, like, oh my God, what did you guys think about Cinder? You know what I mean? Like, it's a little deeper than all of that. Okay. The next book that I am going to talk about is Dumplin by Julie Murphy. I'm sure I don't have to explain to anybody what this book is about. If you haven't read it, go see the movie on Netflix. It's fantastic. And it's about a girl, and she struggles with weight issues, and she enters a beauty pageant. Her mother runs the beauty pageant. It's fantastic. And a lot of the book is about this kind of revolution against like what is seen as normal in our society, and body acceptance and things like that, and her resistance against body acceptance and all this kind of stuff, and it's fantastic. But one of the overwhelming questions, I love this book. This is one of my all-time favorite books of life. One of the overwhelming questions in this book is, how important is winning? And I think it's something that we don't often talk much about, in our society. This need to win. And is it about the journey like I talked about earlier, or is it about this need to win? Because so many of us say, oh, I don't really care if I win. It's just about the participation. It's just about doing the best that I can do. But then we feel very, very let down when we don't win something. So I'm going to put the poll up here, and then I'm going to have several answers to it, and then you guys can anonymously. I'll be interested to see what the answer of this is, how important it is to you to win. So just in life, not a pageant, but just in life, at anything, like how important is it for you to come out on top? So that's kind of the scruple, soul-searching question of that book. I have two more, okay? The next one is The Mysteries of Pittsburg by Michael Chabon, one of my all-time favorite books of life. I have been recommended this book for years, and I never read it, and then when I read it, I don't know if it was like the meeting of the stars, but I read it at the right exact time. I read it in the summer. It's very much of a summer book, spring kind of into summer, and it's a young coming-of-age book about this kid whose dad is like in the mob, like in kind of a mobster type. And is there a little synopsis of the book on here? Oh, it doesn't. It just says, at the beginning of the summer, I had lunch with my father, the gangster, who was in town for the weekend to transact some of his vague business. And one of the overwhelming questions in this book is this kind of, it has this like back and forth, and I don't want to ruin this for you because I think people should go read this book. It is that fantastic. And I think it's a book that you can read at any age. Michael Chabon is just an incredible author. But one of the overwhelming questions is that he kind of goes back and forth throughout the book with sexuality and attractiveness to some people and not to others, and relationships. He has relationships with a man in there. He has relationships with a woman. And, one of the questions that it poses in there, it doesn't really talk about bisexuality. And the book was written long before we started talking about, a gender identification and pronouns and sexuality and things like that. There is no discussion of that in this book. But it makes you wonder, as you're reading this book, how much does sexuality really define us? And it isn't, what is so fantastic about how it's done in this book is it's just kind of a thing that happens. It's not like this overwhelming part of his life. It's just this thing that just kind of happens, And I love it because it's part of his figuring out who he is as a person and all that kind of stuff. So the question is, how much does sexuality define us? And I'm going to put the poll up here, and you guys can go answer the poll and let me know what you think about all of that. See, I said deep questions. We got to come up with deep questions for these, okay? Okay, the next book that we're going to talk about is She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. And it was actually a book club book that we read last year, but I also read it 20 years ago, so it was a reread for me. I loved it just as much this time as I did 20 years ago. In fact, it had a different effect on me at this point in my life. The book is about here, I'll read the synopsis for you. Meet Dolores Price. She's 13, wise-mouthed but wounded, having bid her childhood goodbye. Beached like a whale in front of her bedroom TV, she spends the next few years nourishing herself with the Mallomars potato chips and Pepsi her anxious mother supplies. When she finally rolls into young womanhood at 257 pounds, Dolores is no stronger and life is no kinder. But this time she's determined to rise to the occasion and give herself one more chance before really going belly up. And really what the question is, or the book is about, and the question throughout the book is, how important is it, this journey to self? How important is it for us to figure out who we really are at the core? And I will tell you, if you've ever read the book, she doesn't really get it to the very last sentence of the book. It's fantastic. I was bawling my eyes out, and I had forgotten how it ended. So I was looking online, and I was kind of because there's so many questions that this book poses. So I was looking online at book club questions, and I saw this quote that Wally Lamb, the author, put out, and I loved it because this is really, I think, encompasses a lot about all of these books. He said in there that good literature explores the imperfections of the world and challenges our perceptions. And I think that is so true. I really do believe that anything of any good, any piece of good literature, art, whatever, challenges really who we are as a person. It makes us think differently. And I think this can go about any kind of book. It can be any kind of book that you read that makes you kind of look at things in a different way. It can be a book that you pick up in the grocery store, right? And just the fact that you're actually spending some time reading to yourself can change your perception of how you look at giving yourself some free time in life, or how you treat yourself kinder, right? And the things that we read in the books, the characters that we, read and get to know and fall in love with, challenge who we are as people. Even the characters that we read that we don't like challenge who we are as people and our perceptions about the world. And sometimes I think the books that make us the most uncomfortable, or the books that we don't agree with the most, are sometimes the most important books for us to read, because sometimes I think they make us look at things in a completely different way. So that's the question I'm going to ask for this one. But I think it's kind of an overriding question for all of these books, or any books in general, is, do we believe that good literature challenges our perceptions? So let me know what you guys think in the poll. If you would like to do Peter's 5-book poll book tag, all you have to do is do it. I just asked, and you don't have to, but it just would mean a lot to me, so I can just put in Peter Likes Books, and I can find it. It's just in the tags, include Peter Likes Books. That way I can go find the tag if you do it, have fun with it, invent your own book tags. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be anything deep. It's just not that deep anyway. We're reading because we enjoy reading. We're reading because we enjoy books, and I love books. I love reading, and thank you for participating. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.